Hey, welcome back to the Mindful Minute. Today I wanted to show you guys how to use garlic and onion in your cooking, starting with how to chop them. So using fresh garlic and onions, in my opinion, is one of the best ways to flavor whole foods. And of course, there are a ton of medicinal benefits to garlic and onions, which we're going to talk about in just a minute. I used to think chopping an onion just meant going at it and chopping it up, which is a fine standard way of doing it. But the way I want to show you today is really a foolproof way to get a really good chopped onion with using less time, which means less crying, ultimately. I also used to use garlic when I first started cooking out of the can, like fresh minced garlic out of the can, which was fine at the time, but one day someone showed me how to use fresh garlic and how to chop it, and it literally changed the game with my cooking. It has the best smell in the world. So, let's start talking about the medicinal benefits of garlic and onions first. Garlic and onions are related. They are in the allium family. They're both incredibly nutrient dense, meaning they have low calories but high nutrient profiles. Garlic boosts immunity, it regulates blood pressure, it clears your liver from toxins. Garlic is also anti-inflammatory, which, as we know from the last video, we really want to live an anti-inflammatory lifestyle as much as possible to prevent chronic pain and disease in the body. Garlic is also antibacterial. So when you put garlic in your food, it helps reduce the risk of things like E. coli. And when you use it for sickness, it helps combat things like the common cold, which is why you might have heard someone consuming raw garlic, because it is that powerful when it comes to sickness. Onion is very high in vitamin C, which, as we know, helps our immune function. It is also very high in potassium, which most Americans are lacking in. So it's great if you are lacking in potassium to incorporate onions into the diet. It's also full of fiber, which helps aid in digestion. And as I always say, good digestion equals good health. So we want to incorporate as many fiber-rich vegetables as we can. What's really cool about onion and garlic as it pertains to medicine and food as medicine is that they are sulfur rich. So they have a lot of sulfur compounds and flavonoid antioxidants. And what that means for us in our bodies is the prevention of cancer, specifically colon and stomach cancer. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm gonna show you how to chop an onion first. And my biggest tip for when it comes to crying and onions is to keep your onion in the refrigerator, because if the onion is cold, you have a lot less likely chance of crying. My onion hasn't been in the refrigerator for very long, so you might get to see me cry in this video, but we'll see. Whenever it comes to chopping, we want to make sure that we're using a really, really sharp knife. A lot of people are really afraid of a sharp knife, but the reality is a dull knife is a lot scarier than a sharp knife, because if I'm using a dull knife and trying to cut something and it goes the wrong way, I can cut my hand or something very easily, whereas when it's sharp, it's going to be very precise when I cut, so I'm not going to cut my finger off or anything like that. So you want to use a sharp knife. I wanted to show you this little tool. I got this at Walmart. It was like 10 bucks. What's the name of it? Specifically, the name is AccuSharp. Really cheap, really good kitchen tool for your knife. So I use it to sharpen my knife. I use it pretty often to make sure that I'm not cutting with a dull knife. So go grab one of those for chopping purposes. So we're gonna start by cutting off the ends of the onion. And then we're gonna go ahead and cut the onion in half. So we've got two sides. We're gonna peel all the outer layer off. Of course, you wanna get that hard, crunchy layer off, but there's also like a waxy layer that's good to get off. So you'll do this to both sides of your onion, but I'm gonna go ahead and cut down the middle. So make a cut, not all the way through, but almost to the very edge of your onion. So I just cut through. And then I'm gonna go ahead and make essentially like slits down the onion. Again, not all the way through, but probably go 1/2 inch back from that top and cut all the way through to the bottom. And then once I cut here, you'll see that I'm getting perfectly chopped little squares coming off this guy, and I'm not crying yet. And then the end, just chop. And then if you want like really, really fine diced onion, you can go back over it and just kind of chop into it. But that's a foolproof way. The tears are coming. That's a foolproof way to get a really good onion chop and very quickly. Okay, so this is partially a garlic bulb. That's what that looks like. And garlic is really, really cheap at the store. So I get a bulb and then I just crack it open, and then you'll get these little cloves off of it that look like this. And I'm gonna take my knife and use the back end to press into it, and you'll hear it like crack. And then there's a little hard piece at the very end. That's what connects it over to that bulb. So you want to get that little hard piece off. And that makes it really, really easy to just peel off this outer layer. And a really interesting fact about garlic and the benefits is that when you go ahead and crush your garlic and then chop it, if you leave it sitting for about 10 minutes, that will amplify the health benefits, because there's an enzyme reaction that happens to make those beneficial compounds become more bioavailable for the body. So I always try to do my garlic and onions first. That way it can sit to the side for a minute while I get anything else ready. So I'm getting the maximum health benefits from my food. So then I'm gonna just slice these little pieces. No particular way, just slice them down the middle here. So I've got these little slices. And if you don't know how to chop very well, that's okay. It takes practice, and you will get better the more you practice. That's really all it is. But you always want to have, you know, a firm grip on the knife and use your opposite hand to push down into the knife. So for this, I just start chopping over the garlic, just like this. And then I have to push the garlic off the knife occasionally to get it all back together. And it took me quite some time to get good at chopping and to be fairly quick at chopping, and I'm still nowhere near where a lot of people are. But that's okay. That's honestly one of the coolest things to me about cooking, is that contrary to our everyday lives, we get to slow down and take the time to do things with our hands and to create something that will nourish us. That's a beautiful thing. So relish in it. Cool. So that's it. Just chop it up real good, and you've got some fresh garlic. It smells so good. So relatively simple, but I'm always trying to think of things that I didn't understand how to do when I first started cooking, especially when I started cooking with whole foods. Things that I've learned along the way, but that are very beginning steps, because as always, I want to educate and empower you to live a healthier lifestyle and to get in the kitchen and cook, because that is part of it. Your kitchen is your medicine cabinet. Cook, cook, cook. It's really important for your health, and it's a beautiful thing that you get the privilege and option to do. So hopefully this video was in some way helpful for you. The best way to use garlic and onions, there are many ways to use them, and you'll figure that out the more you cook and use recipes. They're always used as a base for soups and stocks and sauces. But just one simple thing I can tell you to do with garlic that I absolutely love, that you can go and try after you see this video, is to chop a couple cloves of garlic and put some oil in a skillet, let it saute for maybe about 2 to 3 minutes, and then add a couple handfuls of spinach. And spinach only takes a couple minutes to wilt. It's a very fast cooking green, leafy green. So put that in there, it takes about 2 minutes. And when you take it out, squeeze a little bit of lemon juice and add some salt and pepper. And you have the most delicious side dish, because garlic, the flavor of it is so powerful with that spinach. You're going to love it. If you have any ideas for these videos of things you want to learn when it comes to cooking, healthy food, or holistic lifestyle, please DM me or comment on this video and let me know, and I will try to incorporate it for y'all.